And I think we're live? Maybe? Hello? The mic's... Yeah, okay, the mic's working. And we're back! So, it's Monday. Over the weekend, finished up all the stuff from Marvel Crisis Protocol. Knocked all that fun stuff out. Did the terrain and all that. And it's now up at Gigabytes. So... They have a full painted box set with the terrain, all the characters. Hopefully we'll get something set up for getting some demos and everything in. I know that there's more than a couple folks up there that are knowledgeable in the game and know how to play it. So swing by, check it out. Over the weekend, picked up the Feast of Bones kit back here. There it is. Right there. The Ossiarch Bonereapers and the Ogres. Mogast. Yeah, I'm gonna mess that name up. Anyway, picked them up. I got rid of the Ogres. They're just not my thing. But I did keep the Bonereapers because skulls are my thing. Anyway, we'll switch it around here. I did one up. I'm not really jumping on this army really fast. This is more of a just to check it out and see what these guys are going to be like and try to get a color scheme that I'm going to do across the entire army. This is one of the Mortek Guard. It's the basic infantry troop for the Bonereapers. They're really tiny, believe it or not. To give you an idea, the demonettes from Slaanesh aren't that big, and she actually stands taller than he does. It's definitely going to take more than 2 weeks. These guys, I'm not really messing with them. I'm gonna do up like this one as a test. If I like it, then that's probably the last one I'm painting these for a minute. But we've got there's a big tournament coming up in November at Gigabytes. If you're in the area, check it out. It's in 2 weeks, actually, a little under 2 weeks now. But we have to have everything painted for it. 3-up color, based, all that fun stuff. And so I'll be finishing up all the stuff that I've got for Slaanesh. Sort of like this guy hiding back here. That's an old Keeper of Secrets. It's not going to be my primary one, but it's going to be one that I can summon in because, yeah. So basically what I'm going to do is we're going to start off on this guy and get some stuff down. We're going to try a couple of different things like the Skelton Horde contrast paint. I haven't tried it, so you know, if a guy's mostly bone, why would you not try that? It'll save you a bunch of time. So, one of the things I did with this guy is, if you notice, his shield is sort of blocking like most of his body. And it would be a pain in the butt to try to get back there and paint all that stuff with that shield on. So what I did was I just took a little poster tack, and that's how I attached his arm to prime him. It gives me an idea of what I'm going to be able to see. It gives me access to him, and it also gives me an idea of what I'm going to be able to see when I actually do get this all painted up. So I sort of have an idea of where I need to concentrate the paint. We're going to start off with a little bit of the bone Skelton Horde. You'd think I'd have this all set up, right? But no, I don't. So Skelton Horde contrast paint, we go from there. You're seeing this about it. Well, I need to probably shake that a little bit more. These have been sitting around in my room for a while, so always make sure they're shook up. You want all that stuff mixed the way it's supposed to be. I haven't ever used this one. As a matter of fact, that popping the top on it there a minute ago was the first time that that joker's been opened, so we're just gonna... Ooh, wow, that is brown. We're gonna give this a shot. We may end up going back and doing our standard bone on these guys, because so far, I don't know. We'll see how it dries. Contrast, like most paints, dries a little, what do you call it? It doesn't look as dark when it dries, so we'll be giving it a shot. I'm just gonna go through here and get all this bone. And it also could just be a thing. I haven't used this before, and so I'm not knowing exactly. Like, I put a bunch of it up there on the front. So maybe we'll just try to keep it light, to keep those bones lightly tinted as opposed to just brown. Yeah, it really does. Well, like when I was doing the Spider-Man and everything like that, the highlights and stuff that you put on them, the orange highlights, when you first put those down, it looks like a nightmare. But when it dries, it blends right in. It looks different. So we're gonna keep going with it because we're committed now. Like I said, this isn't a problem. This is a test model. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out exactly what color scheme I want to do with that, with these guys. And so if it looks good on one of the little guys, which there's more than likely going to be a ton of these on the field anyway, then, you know, we can modify it as we go up to the heroes and stuff. And we can make them, we can do some more detail and stuff on them. But these guys, there's going to be I haven't seen anybody play one yet with a, you know, smaller than 20 of these guys. Yeah, so it's the white barrier, or the white balance on my iPhone really does not like. I primed him with Wraithbone, so it's a slight off-white, almost like into an eggshell color. But yeah, the camera does not like white models, and I keep dropping it off the bottom of the screen too, which does not help. So it As he starts to brown up, the focus and stuff will change a little bit. It might. So trying to determine what's armor on this and what's bone is more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Like, I can't. It was hard to tell on the back there which one was supposed to be armor and which one was back. I've actually got the camera zoomed in a little bit more than I did last week because these guys are significantly smaller than the stuff that I was doing last week. I'm still gonna, yeah, we're gonna give that a bone color too, because the handle of that, definitely bone. So many jokes. Alright. So that's... Okay, so it's looking better than I thought it was going to. When I first hit that first leg, I was a little concerned. Would be a word. You almost saw me completely stop and re-go. We're going to try something different, because I don't like that. But as it's drying and getting into some of these spots, I'm just going back. At least my experience with contrast is it likes to bubble sometimes, and then those little bubbles will pop, and you're left with this little area that you thought you had covered in paint, but there's nothing there now, and there's just this white spot. So I'm just going back, making sure that these recesses and everything, there's little spots along his leg, here, like right here around his tailbone. All this in here is still showing, let's see if you can actually see it. Still showing white right there around that. And nope, that's no good. We're just going to drop some in there and let it stain that up. So like I said, we're just going to go with some contrast colors on here because this is the battle line troops. There's always a ton of them. And, we don't need to spend 4 hours a piece on battle line. It's just not going to work. Never get everything done. So, hold on 1 second here. I actually made myself a little chart on the stuff I was wanting to do. Not a really little chart. I just sort of made myself a little recipe because I came up with some colors that I wanted to try. Like for his cloth, I'm going to go with some Incubi Darkness. We're going to give that a shot, do the cloth up, and then we'll wash it with some Nuln Oil, and then we're going to bring it back up with some the green Kabalite. It's really dark green, sort of yeah, I'll put the so it's just basically like a little recipe and everything, and I'll drop it into the well, I think I might be able to drop it into the chat. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. There we go. Oh, no. Do not end. There we go. So there's all the colors and stuff. And if you go back, I'll be posting this on YouTube also, and I'll post that in the notes at the bottom of that too. We're going to take a little bit of this Incubi Darkness and put it over here on a wet palette. Water it up a little bit. There's not a lot of cloth on these guys, so there's just this little bit of cloth down here, so don't need a whole lot of paint. And we're just going to go back, make sure we get a good coat of this. I'm already seeing a spot where there should be bone that I missed already, because this cloth just sort of comes down right here, that little bit across the top. I didn't do on the skeleton bone. I didn't do that. It's coming in pretty dark. That might be if you're wanting something a little bit lighter. Nope, not going straight contrast. Got some, like I said, we're doing Incubi Darkness on this to come down. And then the back side of it. If you want the bone to end up a tad lighter than what it's showing here, like I said, this is just a test. I probably would go a bit lighter because I'm not a real big fan of the really bright. Yeah, my fault. What's on him right now is just straight out the pot. Didn't cut it. Like I did a Sylvaneth army a while back, and I think, is it Wildwood? Is the brown contrast Wildwood, I believe. I put that on there, and it was so dark it might as well have been black, or at least compared to what I was wanting. So I for all the bark on that Sylvaneth, I cut it at least 50-50. So, but yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to let that bone dry a little bit, and then we're going to go back and hit it with a little bit of, when I say a light dry brush, I mean a light dry brush of the Wraithbone to bring some of that back up, because, yeah, I mean, it's alright, but I don't like it quite that brown. So the Incubi Darkness, we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to put maybe one more little coat over there to keep it from being, it's got a few little tide marks, I guess, in it, where it's pooling like right there, but I don't want to mess with it too much, because then you end up with a lighter dot. So I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to check out the armor. And I figure the best spot to try to do the armor is right here on the shield, because let's be honest, that's what you're going to see 90% of the daggum time. So all I did was, when I put this guy together, I put a little poster putty on the hole. There's a tab that comes back off his arm, and it goes into the back of the shield. And so it's just a little piece of poster putty holding that in there. And where'd it go? Alright, so I'm going to try something different with these guys. I'm going to go to a little bit of Caliban Green. And I'm going to coat the armor part of the shield. You know what? There we go. Give it a little bit of water. like I said, it's an iPhone shooting this, so forgive it. As I put the color on, that the white balance will change, and you'll be able to see some of the details. So last night was the first night that I got was the first night that I got to look at the book. There was a bunch of spoilers and stuff on the net, but I didn't really go looking for it. I just liked the way that they looked. I saw some of the previews and all that fun stuff. And if you've ever seen what I did to Stormcast, you'll know that this army is right in my wheelhouse. I love this. Because I went through and cut all the heads off those jokers and made them into basically an undead Stormcast army. And then they make an undead Stormcast army. So yeah, I'm there. I'm in. So I'm just trying to get around these little details and all that stuff. Anyway, I was flipping through there, and I'd heard that these guys were a lot like... It was sort of like, instead of just calling it Tomb Kings and bringing it back out, they basically rebooted Tomb Kings, dropped the name, and here we go. And everybody's like, no, they're different. I don't know. Because if you look on the front of his shield, there's a cartouche. And each one of the units has their own cartouche on them at some point. Archon's got it. I think Nagash has it. I'm not 100% sure on Nagash, but he does have a cartouche, and they actually show it in the book. But each one of these units has their own cartouche. And you're like, well, what's that? Well, that's the old Egyptian thing for, their names. And each person had like their own. That's how you wrote your name. Well, each one of these units has their own. If that doesn't sound a lot like Tomb Kings redone, I don't know what does. Just going back, evening this out, giving it just a little bit of color. So I'm not worried about this being as bright a green as it is, because we're going to go back over this and we're going to wash it to where it's almost blacked out. Slide around, make sure I get the edge of this. Now, there is something odd with these shields, especially if you've glued them in. It's, I don't know how the hell you'd get to this, but on the back side of the shield, if I can get in there close enough, it actually looks like wooden planks on the back side of his shield. That and his hand's bone back there, and he has the giant bony fist. That, yeah. Anyway, that edge of the shield, it's like the plates actually joined to the, like an old wooden shield. So I'm just trying to make sure that we wrap everything that would be the armor around here. We'll probably take some of that wild wood that I was talking about earlier that I cut about 50-50, and probably cut that about 50-50, and then put that on the back of the shield. Sorry, I heard Corbin walking down the hallway. I didn't know if he was going to come in or not. Just trying to get a nice even coat of that green. Not bad. Still a little light there at the top. So while I wait for that to dry, we're going to shift. I'm all over this model. Actually going to try another color that I haven't tried because I saw something for the blades for these guys and I thought it was pretty cool. And I'm just going to go for it. But I forgot, we're going to have to go to Grayseer to get that as soon as I figure out what I did with it. Alright, so if you're wondering, there's two primers that they use for the contrast, and one's Grayseer and one's Wraithbone. And that will be Wraithbone, over here on your left. This is Grayseer. And the way the contrast works, if you base it with one or the other, you do get a slightly different color. So while I base the unit with Wraithbone, I've got a little pot of Grayseer. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and put a real quick slap of the Grayseer over that weapon because I want this. I'm going to go with Terradon Turquoise on the blade here. And damn, I'm just shaking the camera all over the place. So while it doesn't look too different, it is slightly different, and it will affect the way, like you can tell a big difference on some of the more translucent colors as they shine through. It also gives me a chance to, like, right here where this bone meets the blade, I can clean that up because the contrast would go over it. Yeah, stay on the camera. So it just gives me a chance to clean that up a little bit. Make sure I got it on the front of the blade and that little hook. Make sure I didn't leave. Put just a little bit more down into that corner right there. So real quick while I'm waiting on that to dry. So little of the Incubi Darkness down that I gotta pull the pot back over. And like I said, I want this a little bit darker, so I'm gonna put another coat of this on that cloth. It's real thin. It's so thin, the damn surface tension is blocking the holes in the center there. There we go. So we'll let that dry. We're going to go over here to Terradon Turquoise. We're going to go back to that blade. I didn't put a real thick coat down, so it should be dry. Once again, we're going with a paint that I have never tried. We're just going to put... Try to keep it nice and smooth. Right down the front of that blade and back around. And then same thing for the other side. We'll just try to keep everything nice and smooth on it. Don't want it to pool up too much, but I don't want brush strokes either. So get down here along the edge. Just be careful and just sort of let it go right up to the edge. And voila. In the back of the blade. Double check the top. Back around. Not too bad. Just a couple little spots. Ooh. There's still a little bit in that. I don't want to pull the paint off, but I don't want it pooling too much along that blade either, so. As far as how all this paint tastes, contrast has got to be the worst tasting stuff ever. Absolutely ever. If you leave a little bit of it on the brush and get it in your mouth. Alright. Back to that shield, because, like I said, that's going to be sort of like where 90% of your eyes go. So we're just standard old Nuln Oil. GW and their lovely paint pots. You can almost work with them. Alright. How the hell did I get in a brush? I don't know. Anyway. We're going to take and we're going to put this on. Oop, we want heavier than that. Want heavier than that. There we go. So we're going to go around, and like I said, this is just so we can get an idea of what it's going to look like. The shield's going to be the main thing that you're going to see. So why not concentrate on it, right? There's some other armor back on him, but I don't want to hit it just yet. There is some armor, or there's some bone right here along the top of the shield. And I'm trying to decide whether or not to do the little cartouche thing as bone also. I haven't really decided yet. Alright, and while I'm here with Nuln Oil, I'm going to leave that on there because I really don't want to touch it and knock it off. But I'm also going to put the oil on the cloth to darken that up. Stay on there, you little joker. One thing you gotta watch is tagging the spots that you've already done. There we go. I sort of tagged the inside of his leg there. I think I just did it again. But let's get this all on here real quick. Oh, that didn't rinse it. Went straight in the mouth. That was bad. Blah. Man, and hold on. You know, if you're trying to get your hands nice and steady, it's good to drink some coffee while you're doing this. All right. So, all right, that's drying up. That's drying up. That's drying up. That sounds like Corbin's coming this way.
Dad.
Yeah, bud.
Did you just call the house?
No. Was it Mom's number?
No, it says Justin Likens.
Yeah, is it Mom's number? Alright, give me just a minute, folks. And I think we're back. Now we are. Let's see. All right. Let's pop. We're going to pop that shield off of there. And so the bone on it is a little bit darker than I like. But what we're going to do, as soon as I find the color, because I had it here a second ago, we're going to take Wraithbone, which is what we originally base coated the thing in, and we're going to give it a little bit of a dry brush. It's pretty close quarters around some of those other colors. I probably should have thought this through, because like around that and everything's going to be around his hand, and all this stuff's going to be a little interesting, but I think we can do it. So we're just going to take a little bit of that Wraithbone And you're probably wondering what the heck is up with this brush. Yeah, this is a makeup brush. I think I don't remember if I got it at CVS or dollar store or whatever, but all my dry brushes, I just use makeup brushes. So we're going to come back and we're going to hit around his face. I don't want to do it too hard. I don't want to take all of that off there, but yeah, that's looking better already. Hit around his leg. Hit down there. Hit some of that. Hit those knuckles. Go around. And then these bones on his back, give them a good once over. Yeah, I like that a lot better. Now the tricky part, can I get right in there? Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, this is the first time I've used the Skelton Horde. But with just a little bit of work, I came back up pretty good. Got some of those highlights and stuff just to pop just a little bit more. I'm happy with it. Temple Guard, where are you hiding? Alright, so we have that sort of turquoise, jade, I don't know what you want to call that color. We're going to call it Terradon turquoise because that's what it's called. Anyway, we're going to take a little Temple Guard blue. In case you're wondering what that is, that's that color. Not a contrast paint. Standard base coat, I think. Or it's layer, my fault. Not that much water. Thin it out just a hair. And this is one of those ones where I'm going to hit it on the side of my hand to make sure I know how it's going to flow. Now we're going to go through and highlight this weapon. Just basically using the side of the brush and running right along where the edges are. Don't hit too much, it goes real wide if you do that. Just running it right along the edge there. Putting a little of that Temple Guard down. Give it a little more across the blade here. Just a little more across the tip of that. I'm just thickening that line up. It's easier to thicken it back up than it is to try to thin it back down, so. There's the edge of that. One more run over here. Just using the edge of the brush and letting it find that point. Now the question. We've got that edge highlight. Do we want to run where the blade... Yeah, we're going to do it. Why the hell not? So I'm going to make sure that I got a good point on my brush. I'm going to use the light. Basically, there's a little indent where that blade comes down to like a sharp edge. What I'm doing is just trying to follow that around. Once I get that first pass on it, just try to darken it up just a little bit. What the hell did I get on the back of my hand? I don't know. Come back around, make sure I get up on the camera. Draw that line around. Some of the weapons, they got like a big enough, there's a big enough relief on it that you can just drag it along. This one doesn't really, it's not that big a edge, so gotta sort of freehand it. Well, freehand it in my butt. You just gotta do it. Like I said, man, I'm just taking my time. And coming around. Probably have to do a couple more passes on that one so you can actually see the line. Because we'll put it down pretty thin. But once you got the line down, then it just becomes tracing. I'm off the camera again. There we go. So now you got a little edge on the weapon. Sort of changes it around, makes that Joker look a little bit different. Alright. Because probably want to see what this is going to look like. We're going to stick that back on here. Oh, come on. I may have worn my poster tack out. There we go. Alright. So, the armor, or at least, dadgummit. I still want that a little darker. We're going to go back and put a little more Nuln Oil on that. We're actually going to pop that off so I don't have to grab it. We're just going to hold it like... Yeah, we're just going to hold it. That'll be great. Fighting GW paint pots. So we're just going to take that Nuln Oil. Uh-oh. What happened? Okay. I don't know what happened there. I'm just taking this, running some more of that, mainly across that top. Everything sort of ran off of there. So I want it darker. I want it almost black. I want you to have to look hard to be able to tell what the color is. So set that down, let it dry. In the meantime, we'll go back to the cloth. So we're going to go to Kabalite Green, which is fairly close to our Caliban Green that we were doing on the shield, or what we started off with there. But it's just a brighter bit. A bit brighter. A brighter bit. Whatever you want to call it. Probably need to get like a third camera or some kind of setup to where you can actually see what I'm doing with the paint palette. Yes. This morning we had this guy. He was painted in 3 colors, which is all you need for a tournament. He was done in Wraithbone. We followed it up with Sybarite white, and then we highlighted it with white scar. So 3 colors, tournament legal. But I felt that there might be a problem with that color scheme. That, you know, some folks might take exception to it. And so I decided to go back and change this up. So we're going to do just a real thin highlight with this green. Just like we did on the weapon, we're going to run around the outside of this, and we're let the edge of the brush do the work. So basically I'm just running right down that edge. Like that. Just picking out just a little bit along there. And then the same thing around these little like holes and stuff that he has in there. We're just going to take the brush, run it around. We're not trying to freehand this. We're just going to let the model do the work for us. So run that around like that. Run that around like that. Around we go. A little bit more there at the bottom because that was really, really thin. There's nothing like spending time and putting a line that nobody can see. Make sure you don't tag that. And then for Sandy's favorite part, these little ridges and stuff on the cloth. We're going to take a couple of those and we're just going to follow them down and just sort of run it out. So this little line, we're just going to follow it down with the tip of the brush. Follow it back up there to the top. Then there's that little line across the top. We're going to hit that, and give it just a little bit of green there at the top. Nothing too big. But it will change the look and how your eye picks that cloth up. Same thing for the back. Just run it down. Let the edge of the brush do the work for you. And it gives you just a little thin line. And I'm off the camera. Just gives you a little thin line. Around that stuff. So now that cloth looks significantly different. Well, it looks different. How's that? But it looks pretty cool. Our shield is still not dry. This is where you need a hairdryer. Alright, well. Trying to figure out where I'm going to go. How about we see what we can do with his eyes? That's not shook up. So just take a little bit of this, and it's a bright green. Now here's the part where everything gets fun. Alright. Everybody loves their 000 brushes and all that fun stuff. And I'll admit, I freaking got a ton of them. There's 2 or 3 of them sitting over here to the side. There's some Windsor and Newton, all that fun stuff. But I always found that it always dried before I could get it up and actually do whatever I was trying to shoot for on the model. I finally figured out that if you can get like a 1 brush to a nice point, you can do just about anything that you would do with one of those brushes with these. As I hold my breath and try to paint dude's eyeball. I think I went off the camera doing it. Damn it, man. Alright, let's try this again. His blade's probably going to be in the way. Maybe if I rotate it. Yeah, you can see it right there. So, right in the middle of his eye. So it's not much, but now he's got 2 little green dots in the center. Then I don't know if they even I heard a rumor that this was discontinued, but you can probably still find it. Waywatcher Green. It's just a green shade. It's pretty daggone bright. I'm just going to take a little bit of that. And right there around his eye socket, not too far, I'm just going to run just a little bead of that Just a sort of tint right around his eyeball. Don't want to go out too far because it's not like he had headlights for eyeballs, but out onto those cheekbones, a little bit onto the nose, a little bit up into the ridge, just so it sort of looks like there's a light coming out of it. Yeah, hard to get that lit. All right. Looks like it's dry. It's going to be dry enough for right now. There we go. So our shield, like I said, I wanted this shield pretty dark. You can still sort of tell that it's green. It almost looks like my car, which, hey, love it. So for the armor, we're gonna go with the Calibite. I'm losing my mind. Caliban Green, which is the one we just used. And then Sybarite. Did I put those backwards? I might have. So, ours Caliban, and that's the ultra highlight. Now I can't find one of my... Oh, it's over here. So, we're going to go back to this Kabalite Green. We got it thinned out just a little bit where we were using it earlier. And what I'm going to do, so I'm going to run a line of it. Right along the bottom of this. I want a little thicker line than what I've used on the rest of it, because I want that color to show, and we're going to do one more highlight on top of this too, so we're just going to go draw a nice thick line right there. And I know I was like, you know, we're going to try to do this fast and all that fun stuff. So this is the test one, and so this is probably going to take me a little longer because I don't know exactly what I want to do with it. Where once you do this a couple of times, your speed will pick up. Along the bottom of that, we're just going to run all the way around. Just like that. And then his little rivets, we're going to hit those two real fast. then we're going to run over to Sybarite Green. And here's where it's going to get tricky. I want a very thin line. Man, I'm just all over the place. Right along the edge of that. As a matter of fact, I don't even think you got to run the whole thing. If you just hit the center of it, run that strip over that way, and that over there. That's pretty good. Probably blocking the camera right there, but sorry. I don't think that looks too bad. So that armor technique we'll do back into these little shoulder pads and stuff, and we'll get him matched up. What's left with him? That's really about it. We'll finish up this bone. So there's some bone up here at the top. We'll knock that into we'll put the color onto it, and then put the bone color at the top of the shield. And I'm still trying to figure out if I want to do the bone as the cartouche or not, but we'll figure that out here in just a little bit. We're right over the hour mark, and I have a 12-year-old that's wanting to go with his dad to Waffle House. So we're going to call it quits for today. I will finish this Joker up here in just a little bit, and I'll post some pictures. I'll post it on Instagram. I'll post it on Facebook. If you want to go back and take a look at what we did with some of this video will be back up on YouTube sometime today once I get it all loaded up and everything. Finish him up today, and then tomorrow... tomorrow I'm going to get with Sandy tonight, who's played me in the game up at Gigabytes, and possibly going to pull one of the ogres out of the box back here, and maybe do that up tomorrow and do up, like, show a good, or at least a fair recipe for skin, and try to knock one of those out. Like I said, you can check out some of the other stuff that I've done up here. I have it all posted at the Instagram. If you want to check out the videos with all the Crisis Protocol that we did earlier last week and the beginning of this week, those videos are on there, the ones that I remember to record. Sorry, Ultron. But there's a link going back to the Facebook Live, so if you want to check it out, you can click it there. You can either go to my page and click through all the crap that's on my page, or you can just go to the YouTube thing, and there's in the notes there's a link back to the Facebook Live. So I'll also post up the little color chart for all the stuff that we knocked out today. So till next time, have some fun, go paint some stuff.